Hi, this is Sweet June. How's everybody doing today? Um, I did a video either last year or year before last um, about the Section 8 cuts. I was talking about the Section 8 cuts. Well, I got lots of hits on that video. I got thousands of hits actually on that video. And I'm still actually, people are still actually watching that video and um, being still getting some comments on that video. If you want to look for the video, it's like I'll put a link in my description box if I can put a link to that video in my description box. If you will find the link and then you can click on it and watch the video. I'll see what I can do the best way I can. But anyway, I was talking about the Section 8 because people seem to be pretty passionate about that topic because it seems like every time I talk about those things, I seem to get a lot of hits, and people are pretty opinionated when it comes to that. And people are still watching that video, and I'm still getting comments. And um, I don't. One thing I don't want to do is go back and forth with people in my comment section. I will say what I'll say my piece and say what I have to say, and then probably leave it alone because I'm not going to go back and forth with anybody in my comment section. But people have been coming in on the comic section. This video, I'm going to talk about some common Section 8 myths. I want to talk about some of the Section 8 myths. And I want to clear up some misconceptions that people had in that video. In the comment section, people was coming and saying that um, they know people that are on Section 8 that are balling out of control and they're driving nice cars and things like that. So, just, and a lot of people are making, most of the people, a lot of people in the comment section were saying, um, you know, unfortunately, poor people get extremely stereotyped. Poor people really, really get stereotyped. And when you, unfortunately, it's a huge stigma when you are on a governmental program like such as Section 8 or food stamps or whatever. It's a huge stigma. And people, um, people really look down on poor people in this country. It's just terrible how, and I've spoken about this in my other videos, some of my other videos. People really look down on poor people in this country. I mean, even our government, our leaders in our government look down on poor people. And poor people are terribly stereotyped in this country. And I hate it. I hate it. I've been low income for a long time, and I hate it how, because poor people, low income people are some of the hardest working people in this country, believe it or not. And poor people, low income people are always viewed as lazy or trying to get over on the system, and there's really a small percentage of people that actually are actually trying to get over on the system. Most people that are on these programs do work, you know, believe it or not, you know, because I know the welfare reform back in the 90s, the 1990s, the welfare reform, um, they changed a lot of those things. They threw a lot of requirements in there that people had to work. They threw some conditions in there that people had to look for work, that people had to work in order to receive benefits. And Michigan just passed a law last year, as a matter of fact, that said that they had a work requirement for people to get food stamps. Now, because of the pandemic that's going on, they might be stretching the rules a little bit right now because of the pandemic, and there's a lot of people that are unemployed. But I think last year they passed a law here in Michigan that said they had a work requirement that you had to be working in order to qualify for food stamps. Or you have to be actively looking for work in order to qualify for them. So the food stamp program here in Michigan has a work requirement, and I think a lot of the other states have followed suit. So, but there's a lot of people, because of those modifications and those welfare reforms, they have, a lot of people are working. A lot of people are working in on these programs. A lot of people are not just sitting at home just collecting funds, and like a lot of people think that they are. And I know a lot of people was coming in my comment section on this video saying um, they know somebody that's on Section 8 allegedly. Or I don't know how. First of all, I don't know how you know all these people's business. First of all, I don't know how you all in these people's business like that. But they claim to know people, somebody that's on Section 8 that's driving a nice car and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know how they know all this person's business or whatever, but that's what they say. So they say. Allegedly. I'm going to say allegedly because I don't know whether it's true or not. And then there was other people that was coming in the comment section saying that people are supposedly balling out of control on the Section 8 program, and because of that, they want the program eliminated. Well, I'm going to do another video. Stay tuned because I'm going to do another video talking about how the Section 8 program is very much needed in today's economy. Stay tuned. That's a whole nother video. I'm going to talk about that. But in this video, I'm going to address some of the comments in that video, and I'm going to dispel some common myths that people have about Section 8. So, one of them, I'm going to address the first one, is that most people that are on Section 8, I used to be on Section 8. I'm not on Section 8 now. I did a whole video talking about that, explaining that, because people kept accusing me when I did that one, and then I did another one talking about the Medicaid. I think it was Medicaid Section 8 and food stamp cups or whatever. I was talking about all three, and I got over 20,000 hits on that video. People were really passionate about that one. And people coming in and saying, get a job and all this kind of stuff. And I had to come on there and say that I'm not on the system and I'm working and whatever. I'm not on Section 8 or whatever. Because they automatically assume because I talk about these things that I'm on the receiving end of these programs. And fact is, I used to be on Section 8. I used to be on Section 8 back when my oldest son was little and I got off. And I told that story. It's called, the video is titled Section 8. And I will put that one in the description box if I can do a link. I'm not quite sure I know how to do links, but if I can provide the link, I will put those links in the description box. The video is titled Section 8. And I'm explaining and letting people know, I'm telling that story of how I used to be on Section 8 and I got off. Okay. Needless to say, I'm in the process right now of trying to buy my home as I speak. I'm in the process of trying to buy my home. Don't really want to go into all that right now. I'm running into some difficulties. But I'm in the process of trying to buy my home. So I'm not on Section 8. And I'm gainfully employed. I work 40 hours a week. I've been working throughout this whole pandemic, okay, because I'm an essential worker. So, no need to come on my comment section and say get a job and get off of Section 8, because I'm not on Section 8. And for the record, I'm not on food stamps either. Wish I had some food stamps. So, but I used to be on Section 8. But I got off. And they were saying, well, people shouldn't be on Section 8 for years and years and years. And I get that. And all of a sudden, and there's a reason why people are on these programs for years, Section 8 for years. And like I said, I'm going to explain that in a whole nother video. But I'm going to explain to you how the Section 8 program works. When I got on Section 8 back in the day, back in the 90s, when I got on Section 8, it took me 2 years to get. I waited out in the cold to get on the list. And once I got on the list, it literally took me 2 years for them to contact me. It was a 2-year wait. I was on the waiting list for 2 years. And they finally contacted me, and what at that time, particular time, it was just me and my oldest son. So they go by your family size. They go by um, the amount of people that's in your family. And at the time, it was two of my families, just me and my son. So they base that on how much to give you. So they figure, okay, she just needs a 2-bedroom apartment because she has a son. So they give you that amount. You are qualified for the amount based on your family size. So because I remember I moved out to this apartment complex and I wanted the townhome because they had townhomes and apartments. Well, I couldn't get the townhome because it was more than what the Section 8 would allow me for my family size. So I had to go in and take the apartment, the 2-bedroom apartment. So I got that, and they only give you they base it's based on your income. Now, at the time when I first got on Section 8, I was not working, so my rent was only $50 a month because I wasn't working when I first got on it. But then um, by the time I got off of it, I think by that fall, I was only when I first got on it, I wasn't working, but a few months later, I wound up getting a job and I started working. Once I started working, they based that amount on my income because you have to report. You are required when you are on Section 8, you are required to, if you have any income changes, you are required to report them. So once I got a job, I had to go down there to report that I had a job. So then they adjusted the amount that they pay and versus what I pay based on my income or whatever, which at the time wasn't making a lot of money. So at that time they adjusted how much of the percentage of my rent that they paid versus what I paid. So once I started working, okay, they paid less of my rent, and I was responsible for more to pay more money of my rent. That's how that works. It's based on your income. So if you're working, if you're not working, then your rent in some cases is zero. It depends on what you got coming in. When I first got on the program, I wasn't working, but uh, I was getting food stamps and I was on welfare, the welfare program. Um, so I was getting monies from that. So my rent was $50 a month. But shortly after that, I started working, and so they adjusted it. So I was responsible for paying more of my rent. So that's how that works. It is based on your income. It's based on your family size, and it's based on your income of how much money you're making. Now, they're not going to give you Section 8 if you don't qualify. They're going by the market rent for that particular area that you're living in, based on your family size, based on your income. That's what they go by. And if you're making X amount of dollars, or you're not, your income has to be a certain percentage below the poverty level. You have to be at poverty level or a certain percentage below the poverty level before you can even qualify for Section 8. Otherwise, you don't even qualify for Section 8. You're not even going to get it. So I don't understand how these people are saying that these people are balling out of control on Section 8, because you have to be within a certain percentage. Your income has to be a certain percentage at poverty line or below before you can even qualify for Section 8. If you're making a significant amount over that, then you don't qualify for Section 8. They don't just pass out Section 8 like it's candy. Matter of fact, you have to go through a lot of red tape to get on Section 8. It's a lot of red tape that you have to go through to get on Section 8. They do inspections and all that kind of stuff. Once you find a place, you got to get the place inspected so they can make sure the place is up to code. And it's a lot of red tape that you have to go through, because anytime you're dealing with government programs, you got to go through some red tape. That's a given. So they don't just pass Section 8 out like it's candy, because I waited 2 years just to even get on the program. And then once I got on the program, I had to find an apartment. And then they did the inspection and all that kind of stuff. And then I had to go through all that to get the get started on the program. And so it's based on a percentage of your income, the market rent, your income, and your family size. That's what it's based on. Okay, so it's virtually impossible for somebody to be balling out of control and be on Section 8. 9 times out of 10, most people that are on Section 8, their income is at the poverty line or below, and they go by that the market rent for that particular area. For some cities it's higher. For some of your major cities like Chicago, New York, LA, some of your major cities where the rents are really high. Okay, well that's what they also base it on that. They base it on the market rent in your area and your income. Okay, so it's virtually impossible for somebody to be balling out of control on Section 8. So I find that when people put that in my comments section, I find that very difficult to believe. Unless a person it's got to be some other reasons. If a person is driving a BMW and they're supposed to be on Section 8, well, okay, of course, they could have been borrowing. They could be borrowing the car, they could be renting the car, or they could have got a windfall, or maybe they might be defrauding the system. That's a possibility. They may be making money under the table that they're not reporting. But that's a very small percentage of people that's on Section 8. Most people that are on Section 8 are on the up and up. And it's a very small percentage of people that I know. When I was on it, I wasn't balling out of control. Matter of fact, I was struggling when I was on it. My income was very low when I was on Section 8. That's the only reason why I got on it, you know? And then in my situation, my income had went up, and I decided that I wanted the townhouse because initially I couldn't get the townhouse, and I decided that I wanted it, so I had to get off of the Section 8 to get on the apartment complex's subsidy to get the townhouse, because at that point I was making enough money to where I could afford it. So in my case, I wanted something better, and Section 8 wasn't going to let me get it because of my family size, so I gave it up. And I gave it up with the mindset, well, give it to somebody else that needs it more than I do, you know. Because at the time, it was just me and my oldest son, you know. So they was only going to allot me so much money. I don't even think I was going to be able to get a house unless that house was within that amount of money that they was willing to pay. So in my case, it was like a hindrance. So I was like, well, I want to get this townhouse, and they're not going to cover it. So I was confident at that point, knowing that I was making enough money to take care of it. So I just gave it up altogether and went on and got what I wanted. That was in my case. So in other cases, people need to be on it for a longer and extended period of time. It depends on their situation, you know. Some people are living in very expensive cities where the rents are very, very high, and they need to be on it because their income is just not high enough to pay whatever the market rent is for that area. So that's just one of the myths. You know, Section 8 is based on is one of the main myths. It's nobody. Most people are not balling out of control on Section 8. And I know some people say, well, they can get nice cribs. That's because it's a government program, and they're not going to pay for no piece of junk. The government figure they dropping their money, they going to pay for something. They want to pay for something nice. They want to pay for you to be in something nice. If they figure they got to drop their money, it's common sense, you know. I mean, they're paying their money, so of course they're gonna make sure that the property is gonna be up to code. They're not gonna just pay for no junk. They ain't gonna just pay for you to live in a piece of junk. I don't know what people expect out of poor people. I don't know what people expect for poor people to just be living in a box or a hut or whatever. because you're poor, you supposed to just be living any kind of way. People don't think, what is this mentality that people don't think that poor people deserve to live in a decent uh, home. Because I think a lot of people have that mentality because someone is poor, they don't deserve to live in a decent home. Well, if you're working and you're poor and you're doing the best you can, why don't you deserve to live in a decent home? So it's that mentality of they got nice, some of these people on Section 8 got nice cribs. And that's because the government is not going to pay for no piece of junk. If you're assisting somebody with their rent, would you want to pay for a slum? Would you get pay for your slum if you're assisting somebody? Let's say you had a child and you was helping your child pay rent in a house or apartment. Would you pay for a slum? Would you pay for them to live in a slum? Absolutely not. So that's the way the government looks at it. Well, we got to drop our money. We got to drop our money for this. So we want to make sure that we're paying for something that's going to be up to code and that's going to be nice and that's going to be in livable condition, because most people that's on Section 8 have children, and so they want to make sure that the children and the families are living in safe conditions, that the apartment or the house is up to code and it's safe, in safe conditions. And so that's why, if it looks like people on Section 8 are living in these nice apartments and houses, that's because the government is not going to pay for you to live in a slum. Because the apartment that I had, I didn't particularly I liked it, but I didn't like it because it's not what I wanted initially. I wanted the townhouse, but I had to do what I had to do because when you poor, you don't have no options. When you poor, you have no options. You got to just do the best you can and get what you can get. You got to get in where you fit in, so to speak. And so, but the apartment was nice. The apartment was nice. It had central air. I had a ceiling fan. It had plenty of closet space. I had carpet. So it wasn't a slum. I had some issues in it, but at the end of the day, it would be safe to say that it wasn't a slum. It was a fairly nice apartment. Had a little patio, and yeah, it was a little apartment, nice little apartment. But I was a little, I didn't really care for it because it's not what I wanted. I wanted the townhouse, but my family size wasn't big enough for me to get it. You know. So the government is not going to pay for you to live in no piece of junk or a slum. I initially had moved from my first apartment, which had two fireplaces in it, but it was in a very old building, and I knew that building wasn't really up to code, so I had to move out of there and get something that I knew that would pass the inspection and all that. So, yeah, most people that are on Section 8 are not balling. That was just one of the main myths that I wanted to dispel, that people was talking about in the comment sections of these videos, that this video, that people are balling. No, most people are not balling out of control on Section 8. Unless they're defrauding the system, or they got a boyfriend living in with some money and they're bringing extra income, or they're working and getting money under the table some kind of way. They're beating the system, so to speak. Most people that are on Section 8 are at the poverty line or below it. They're not balling out of control. Just like people say that about people on food stamps. Most people that are on food stamps are either working poor or they're not working at all. And you get whatever they give you, they give you a certain amount based on your income. Your food stamps is based on your income as well. And a lot of people go in the store and they just do all their shopping in one trip. So it looks like, they're getting a lot of food, but that food is for the whole month. Yes. If you took your budget and went to the store and decided to go shopping for the whole month, okay, well, you're going to have quite a bit of food. And that's what they're doing, is that they're shopping for the month. You only get food stamps once a month. And so they're shopping, they're using their monthly allotment, and that's based on their income. So when you go to the store, it looks like people got a basket full of food. Well, that's 9 times out of 10, it's for the whole month. That's what it's for. So just wanted to dispel that myth. A lot of people was coming in that comment section and saying, I know some persons that people that drive BMWs. Most people that's on Section 8 don't be driving around in no BMW. I didn't have a car at all when I first got on it. And I know a lot of people that ain't balling and driving nice cars like that on Section 8. You know, I know somebody that's on Section 8. They ain't balling out of control. You know? So most people are not doing that on Section 8. So it's just that people get all these biases, and it's because they look down on poor people. And they look down on poor people and they jealous. You know, a lot of it is based on jealousy. But because of that, they operate in ignorance because they're jealous, because they can't get the help. Because if they knew if they could get the help, they take it too. If they can get some food stamps, they take them food stamps too. And because of that, they operate in ignorance, and they have all these ignorant assumptions in their head. So I just wanted to clear that up. Hit me up in the comments section. Let me know what you think. You know, wanted to dispel that myth about Section 8. I'm going to actually do another video on Section 8, and um, going to be talking about how it's needed in today's economy. So stay tuned for that one. I don't know when I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. Hit me up in the comment section. Hit the like button. If you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button. Any new subscribers that subscribe to my channel, thank you so much.